Hi, I'm Claire and today I'm going to do the Booktube Real Talk tag. This tag was originally created by Alyssa over at Books with Alyssa J. I will leave a link to her description. We'll leave a link to her channel in the description box below. Okay, it is the morning when I'm filming this. I've got some coffee. I was trying to do some like spill the tea pictures for my thumbnail, but it's very clearly coffee and I very clearly need it. Question 1 is, what's something nobody told you about Booktube before you started your channel? And for this one, I don't really know what to say because I wasn't interacting with a lot of Booktube before I started my channel. I knew it was there, I was watching the videos, but I wasn't really talking with a lot of people. I wasn't really commenting a whole lot. Like, I'm still a massive lurker. I'm finding even replying to my own comments to be something that I need to like schedule into my week, otherwise it just doesn't happen. My partner John was making videos about games, still is obviously, and so that's more kind of what I was basing my ideas on. I wish somebody had told me before I started that I didn't need to be perfect straight away, but honestly, even if they had, like, I would not have listened because I have a problem with trying to make everything just so and spending way too much time and energy and like anxiety thinking about what will happen if every single one of my videos isn't perfect, and I know they're not, so you know. Terrible. Question 2 is, what is your opinion on quote typical Booktube videos like TBRs, wrap-ups and hauls? And that for me is a fairly complicated question. I actually really like watching TBRs and wrap-ups and hauls from other people. What I've really struggled with is my opinion of these videos as a person who makes them, like for my channel. I love watching TBRs, for instance, but I felt for a long time like whenever I was making a TBR video, there was somehow a problem with the fact that I was going to be excited about reading, say, 5 different books, and then I would always end up not reading those 5 books, which is a thing that happens and is completely normal. But for me, because I struggle with wanting everything to be just so and absolutely perfect, the idea that I was going to tell you that I wanted to read these 5 things and then not be able to wrap them up at the end of the month, that was very anxiety inducing and it made me read less in comparison, so that wasn't great. So I didn't do TBRs for a long time. I'm kind of getting more back into them again now because I'm putting a lot less pressure on myself. This entire time I have watched them. I love watching people's TBRs. I enjoy wrap-ups as well, but I always find like they're not interesting enough when I'm making them. I watch other people's wrap-ups and they are fine, but whenever I'm filming a wrap-up, that usually takes me a while. I go on a lot of tangents. I just don't feel like they are my best videos, so I'm kind of thinking of how I can tweak the format to fit me a bit better. I don't want to be standing there telling you that I don't like the typical Booktube videos because I don't want to be all like, oh, my channel is not like the other girls. But the thing is, like, if something doesn't like interest you in its typical format, you can just tweak it a little bit. And I think as Booktube has changed over the years, we've seen that happen a lot. We've seen people making games out of their TBRs and their wrap-ups and all of that. So really it's more about finding a way that makes that typical Booktube video fun and interesting to you, if the typical format isn't fun and interesting enough for you. Because for me, like say a book haul or a top 5 Wednesday, I really love that format as it is and I don't really want to change that. I make those videos like as the typical format of them is. Even TBRs is the same. I just enjoy doing readathons because they are themed and I love a good theme. But for wrap-ups, I think I prefer doing something like, say, a live stream where I talk about all the books that I've read. There is more interaction, and if people want to hear more about a specific book or another, they can ask. Right now I'm working on some videos where I talk about recent books that I've read by like genre. So here's 3 young adult books that I've read, here's 3 graphic novels that I've read, and that way I have a format where like the length of it and the amount that I talk about is consistent, because sometimes I'll have a reading month where I read like 12 books and a reading month where I read like 3 books, so those wrap-ups always felt really inconsistent for me and I didn't like that. So I'm kind of trying to find ways where I can talk about my recent reads and have it work better for me. Question 3 is, what is an assumption you had about Booktube prior to joining Booktube? Was it correct or not? And for this one, again, I didn't have a lot of assumptions about Booktube before joining because I joined Booktube when I was watching a few channels, but not that many channels. And I guess an assumption that I had about Booktube was that I was going to be in like a really small minority reading primarily SFF and being a second language speaker, that kind of thing. Maybe that like most people were reading either YA or adult classics. That's because at the time I was watching people like Christina from Christina Horner and Sana from Books and Quills. Some of those assumptions have been proven correct and some of them have not. Obviously YA is a big part of Booktube and SFF is a smaller niche, but there are still a good bunch of us and we have a good community. I'm not on my own there. There are also a bunch of other booktubers speaking English as a second language. There was a whole tag about booktubers who speak different languages at some point. I will put links in the description below if I remember to do it. Please poke me in the comments if I don't remember to do it. A little bit of a mixed bag in terms of assumptions. Some of them were right, some of them were not, and mostly it's just that it was a bit more complicated than what I thought when I first started, which makes sense. Question 4 is, what is something that you've done that's actually helped you grow your audience? And honestly, I'm not sure. Like, I have a good sized channel for Booktube SFF for sure. I'm getting close to 5,000, but then again, I've been getting close to 5,000 for a really long time, so I'm not sure if I should be saying that now because I'm gonna jinx myself. I've done loads of things that I thought might help grow my channel. Like I said, I'm a massive lurker, but I do make an effort to go and comment on other people's videos, and I think that does help to create community and make people aware of you and bring them to your channel. I do try to be a bit shameless on Twitter about sharing my videos again and again after I've put them out. I don't know how much that helps, but I do try to tame the like British voice within me that says, stop promoting yourself, it sounds terrible when you do that. I try to squash that and like share the videos again and again because I've spent a lot of time working on them. I try to think about videos that I can make that I'll be able to share again and again. And of course, something I've done this year to try and grow my audience some more is to start making Genre-Wise, which is a SFF news show that I do every month. I started with every other week, but it was way too much work, so now I'm doing it every month, and that is something that I think has a lot of value because there's a lot of work that goes into these videos, but also, you know, when people watch them, they can gain something from them. So I try to make them something that is really gonna give people something and make them want to subscribe. But again, like, I have no idea if that's a good strategy or not, and I feel like my sub numbers are kind of hovering. I know they're hovering at a good place, so I'm not like too fussed about it, but I actually like don't have a really good answer to this growth strategy question because I'm not really growing very fast at all. Question 5 is, what is a common mistake you see new booktubers making or one that you've made yourself? And honestly, every mistake that I see other people making, I have definitely made myself. When people are answering this question in this tag specifically, I've heard a lot of talk about how consistency is really important, being yourself is really important, people can tell if you're not being genuine, and I think that's all very true, but that's all things that I've struggled with myself. Making 1 or 2 videos a week really regularly and keeping up a release schedule of like, say, here's a video on a Wednesday and here's a video on a Saturday or something like that. Like, I really struggle with that. Most of the time when I start recording, I can only do 1, maybe 2 videos at most. I know some people do really long recording sessions all day so that they can have videos for the whole month, and like, I don't know how you are doing that. My hat's off to you because that's not how I function and I can't do it, and I wish that I could because it sounds like a very sensible way of doing things, does batch recording, but not really for me, not more than like 3 on an extremely good day. As for being yourself, I think one of the things that I've really struggled with was feeling like everything has to be just exactly right, and if I make any kind of English language mistake in a sentence, I'll redo the take, and then when I'm editing, I have to skip like 10 times where I'm trying to say something, and I think you kind of lose the momentum of that kind of conversation if you've been repeating yourself for a super long time. I'm trying to not do that, but I'm finding that really hard. I've been finding it really hard for a long time. My earlier videos are a lot more stilted, and I think that's also just a normal thing that's part of finding your voice as a booktuber, and you can't really expect everybody to be great at it straight away. Like, I'm a very talkative person. Before I started Booktube, I thought I would be great at YouTube because I can talk for a long time. But actually, being able to talk somebody's ear off about something and going on multiple tangents and all of that, that's not actually very conducive to like making very specific videos about specific topics. Question 6 is, what are your thoughts on working with publishers and doing sponsorships? My general thoughts are, I'm all for it. You just need to disclose accordingly. When I do a book haul, or when I do a review or a wrap-up or something like that, where I talk about a book that was sent to me by a publisher, I will always say, this book was sent to me for review by such and such publisher. I think that's really important. I think it's quite shady if you don't say that. I don't think it affects my opinions of the books, how excited I am to get them in the first place, or, you know, how much I like or dislike them once I've read them. I think maybe it does for other people, but I think it's relatively easy as a viewer to tell, actually, when people are being disingenuous. You know, I think a lot of people are on this platform because they are really excited about books, and so they will be excited even if a book didn't 100% work for them, and it's not necessarily because like they've sold out to big publishing or whatever. For sponsorships, I would say the same thing, but maybe to even a higher degree. It's very theoretical for me because my channel's not big enough for anyone to be offering me sponsorships. I think my channel is only big in the sense that it's like a relatively good sized channel for a booktube channel focusing on SFF, and I think because SFF publishers do less in the way of sponsorships and things like that than maybe YA publishers do, or big book prizes like the Man Book Prize or the Orange Prize do. Because of that, and also because I'm in the UK and a lot of sponsorship stuff is going on more in the US, because in the UK we have pretty strict rules about advertising. Because of all those factors, I've not really seen any sponsorship offers coming my way. If they did, I'd probably go by the same rule of thumb that I've seen other people use, where they only will accept sponsorship deals for things and brands that they like and that they use. But honestly, aside from wanting to make sure that I'm not like flogging a product that I don't like to people, I am super in favor of booktubers or anybody else on YouTube like getting paid to do the work, because of course we choose to do the work, but it is still a lot of work, and you know, it's nice to be able to get something back for that work that you do. I can't have AdSense on any of my videos because I don't have enough views annually. I have a Patreon, which is really great because it tells me that people are invested in seeing my work, and that really helps me. But I also think that, you know, if I could get money from like a big corporation with a big advertising budget instead of like people who watch this channel and are kind enough to tip me in my Patreon, that would be sweet. Question 7 is, do you think Booktube is dying? Maybe we were talking about whether Booktube is dying or not a lot at the time that this tag first came out. It seems a very incongruous question to be looking at now, because I don't think Booktube is dying at all. I think Booktube is evolving and changing. It's changing because of changes to the platform, YouTube itself, changes to the way that we as people in general consume media is changing because the people on the platform are changing. The people who are, you know, trendsetters and influencers are changing. We're seeing a lot more long form videos. We're seeing videos regularly that are like half an hour. We are seeing those because the platform wants you to be on it for longer. The algorithm privileges longer videos because it wants you to stay on YouTube. You are seeing people like Sana from Books and Quills, who's been making making videos on YouTube for like 10 years or something. When she makes a video that's 15 minutes long, she will say, that video has gone on for so long. I don't even know if she makes 15-minute long videos. But then you'll see somebody like Books and Lana, who is very often making these challenge videos that are super long, and you get really invested in them and you end up watching them till the end, and that is really good view time for her. That is one of the reasons her channel is doing super well. You see people doing a lot more reading vlogs now, videos that are maybe a bit more interesting in terms of what happens visually in them than like this very traditional setup. A person talking about books with a booktube with fairy lights in the background. You see a lot more like experimentation, I think, which I think is really cool, really interesting. I also think that we are way more used to watching videos on like 1.5 or 1.75 speed. I know that I now only really listen to audiobooks at like 1.5 speed or more, and with videos I tend to go to 1.5 immediately as a reflex. Like, that's how I watch stuff now, and I think because of that you can consume more longer content. All of this is very interesting to me, as I'm sure you can tell, but absolutely no, Booktube is not dying at all. I believe after this question the final thing is to tag some people, but also like almost everybody that I know has done this, and I don't know who hasn't made this tag yet. I have just been holding out on this one because I knew I would ramble forever and it would be an annoying editing job, so that's why I haven't done it before. But I'm gonna go and edit that now. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, if there's anything that I haven't touched on that you're curious about. I would love to talk about this some more because I am just very interested in the process as a thing. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video on screen right now. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face for a new video from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.